Quasi here, and in this video I want to talk to you about people pleasing and why you're actually doing the world a disservice by working on pleasing other people, leaving yourself empty. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why people pleasing is probably the worst thing you can do, and why we subconsciously revert to it because of how we've been conditioned, how to actually break free from it, and the 3 keys that's going to help you recontextualize this and just make it nonsensical and just outright clear that this is the way you've got to be in order to get what you want. I really want you to pay attention to this video because this is something that took me a while to figure out, and I was also stuck in people pleasing mode, and I saw that I was causing disservice to everything around me. Before I begin this video, I want to quickly announce that a couple of spots have opened up for the free consult with me for the Reality Mastery Program. Make sure you wait around till the end of the video for the announcement on that. And with that, let's get started with this video. So in this video, I want to talk to you about people pleasing and why this is the most destructive thing you can do for mankind. Now, why that is because what we usually do is most people function on social conditioning and morality. Okay? Morality and social conditioning. What do I mean by that? Well, it's like this. When we've been growing up, we've been dependent on a certain structure to help us feel safe. Oh, if we just follow life's orders, then we're going to be safe. But this is a false sense of security, because the more we go that 9-to-5 route, go to college and get this job, etc., just do this, just do what life wants you to do. The more we move on with this herd mentality, the more we get away from what our heart truly wants. The more you get away from what your heart wants, the more bitter you become over time. Okay? I'm not saying you can't be happy at a 9-to-5. That's not the case. But for some people, it's not something that's giving you freedom. It's something that's actually sucking the life out of you. And it's something that you haven't really chosen yourself. The choice wasn't yours. This was an unconscious choice made as a result of what you thought you had to do. So there's the mind that occurs that sort of blocks what the heart's desires are, and is basically like working in conflict rather than in conjunction, because the mind sense of security has started to develop by this social conditioning that we've been brought up with. But also what I want you to know is social conditioning is just a band-aid, and morality is just a band-aid for a lack of consciousness. To give an example of that, why should someone have to tell me that it's illegal to kill my neighbor? I should not want to kill my neighbor because I love my neighbor, right? So morality is just a band-aid solution for a lack of consciousness. The best thing to do is just work on increasing your consciousness every single day. So again, to really exemplify this, what I want you to know is people pleasing, and when you start to look for validation from other people, it just reaffirms your incompleteness. Okay? And this is doing a massive disservice to humanity, because what you're essentially doing is propagating win-lose scenarios. When you start to double down on someone else and their way of things being, and you leave yourself empty, you leave your cup empty, you're making a win-lose scenario. Every single win-lose scenario that happens eventually becomes a lose-lose scenario. There is no such thing as a win-lose scenario. It's either a win-win or a lose-lose. So to give an example of that, let's talk about Quasi and his 9-to-5. So if I had chosen to go the path that my parents wanted me to go, what would have eventually happened is that I would have grown to resent them. That would have boiled up into a lose-lose scenario, right? Anything that goes against your heart and you do, it becomes a lose-lose scenario ultimately. So at the moment, it would have been a win-lose. My parents would win and I would lose. But then when I grow to resent my parents, they would lose as well, right? But in the moment, if I started to double down on myself and I went the path that I wanted to do, which is what I did, then what happens is maybe it's a win-lose, but this win-lose becomes a win-win, because now you've actually acted in accordance with what you wanted to do, what you wanted your life to become. And the thing is, you always become successful if you decide to follow your heart's desires. Okay? That's for sure. So with the 9-to-5, a lot of us feel compelled to go this certain way because of that societal conditioning, and we get drawn into this pendulum, this like-minded way of thinking of how things should be. And that's why we're afraid to break free from it, because we lose this sense of security, this false sense of security. But when you go that path, you go the society's way of doing things, you sacrifice on your dreams, which inevitably makes you bitter over time. And it's keeping the same pattern happening in your life, right? So what I want you to know is that selflessness and selfishness are both just dualistic illusions. The most practical way of looking at it is everyone's selfish. We're all selfish. When I donate to charity, I'm doing so because I want something from it. I'm the most selfish person there is. I'm making these videos because I want you guys to get value from it. I want you guys to join my program, and then I want you to get crazy results from my program. I want you to get something from it, right? So the best situations in life are win-win. How can I win, and how can someone else win from this decision? So you always got to look at that. This is what's called coming from a place of power, okay? When you come from a place of power, you make a win-win. You look for win-win scenarios in life. If you leave your cup empty in every single decision you're making and you try to fill up someone else's cup, it's not going to work. The best thing you can do is just be selfish. But the problem is when we try to be selfish, we start to judge ourselves and we start to regret it and we put a bad meaning onto it. And then it starts to haunt us later on. Just admit that selflessness is something that should come from you. If you decide to give to charity, you shouldn't feel compelled to do it because someone told you so, or you shouldn't feel ashamed to do it. You should want to do it, right? So if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. People who suffer the most in life are quote-unquote good people. People who think they're good, they'll always suffer because now they're living in a certain expectation of their lives. They think they should be a certain way, and then they don't act in accordance with that way. They start judging themselves. They're like, oh, I'm a good person. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. Then they don't feel good about doing what they want to do. They feel judged and they start to, feel shame and guilt towards it. So understand that both selfishness and selflessness are dualistic illusions. If you start to see another person as you, and you start to see that if I benefit someone else, it's going to come back to me somehow. This is the mirror world. When you give to someone, the world will always meet you halfway. When you want to get something from life, look at first what you can give. It's like meeting the world halfway. What can I do in order for the world to meet me halfway so I can get what I want? This is what we call co-creating, right? If you think you have the power to do it all, you don't. You have a lot of power, you do. But the world is infinitely more powerful, and you're part of it. And you have the power to influence that. But you've got to work with the world. You've got to make it a win-win. If I just started asking clients to, hey, come join my program, without giving them value first, they wouldn't know what there is to get. And usually when most people join the program, they've already gotten crazy results from just following the channel. They've made transformations, right? So when you start to become more and more giving, then there's no way life will just give back to you anyways. It'll just happen. So now what I want to share with you is that you will get what you tolerate from life. And what I mean by this is if you tolerate shitty behavior from other people, you're going to get more shitty behavior. This is the end to people pleasing, right? If you keep tolerating the same old situation, you keep doubling down on other people more than yourself, you're going to keep getting more and more of that. If you keep tolerating a shitty relationship and being treated a certain way, you're going to get more and more of that. The most empowering thing you can do is say no and set boundaries. Okay, if you learn to set boundaries and people understand that this is what you will accept and this is what we will not accept, then you're going to be set up for success rather than the trajectory you're going now. Learn to become a no-man. Because time and energy are the most limited things. You can't do it all. So why not do the things that you actually want to do, the impact you actually want to make, right? The other thing is what I saw was very, very key, even with my wife and myself, was that she would give gifts to other people and not really invest in herself. She would buy more expensive presents for other people and not do anything for herself. And this is what kept her stuck in that people-pleasing pattern more and more. Whenever someone would ask her to do something, she would just do it, right? So there was no doubling down on herself, no boundaries there. She was just being a pet to someone else. When you do that, you're doing the world a disservice. The best thing you can do for the world is just be the best version of yourself. The best thing you can do for the world is double down on yourself, invest in yourself. Ask yourself this, when was the last time you invested maybe in your own education? Not feeling compelled to do it because society tells you should go to college. But when did you make the conscious decision, even when it wasn't required, to invest in yourself? Because if you start to invest in yourself, and I'm not just talking buying expensive clothes and luxury stuff, but in your own development, your own fitness, your own health, getting supplements for yourself, investing books, courses for your development. If you start to do that, your subconscious gets rewired to the point where you say, oh, if I'm doing this, that means I must be worthy of this. But it's weird because we see a lot of people, invest in college courses and everything, but that was an unconscious choice. You didn't consciously do that. You thought you had to do that, and you felt that it's something you needed to do, not something that you actually chose to do. When was the last time you chose to invest in yourself? When you start doing more activities like that, then your boundaries get stronger. You start to see yourself in a more powerful light. This is when your own self-image grows stronger. Because if you don't think you're worth it, other people are not going to think you're worth it either. Right? And now I want to share with you the 3 keys that's going to help you break free from people-pleasing forever. Really how I do it. First thing you got to understand is that morality is just a band-aid. And instead of relying on morality, what should be done and what shouldn't be done, and judging yourself because you didn't meet society's standards, work on becoming more conscious. The right choices will come, the right decisions will come if you just become more conscious. Optimize for consciousness, not morality. If you become more loving, you love other people, people are going to be more loving towards you. This is something that people miss out on completely. They think that, okay, in order to get, I must focus on taking. What can I take? What can I do in order to take? No. The best thing you can do is focus on what can I give in order to take. But if you actually give without needing to receive, without expecting something in return, then you'll see magical things happening. Then you'll see how life starts showering you. Right? So that's the first thing. Understand that morality is a band-aid. Make that realization. It just tries to patch up for things. Don't judge yourself because you're not doing things the way things are supposed to be and should be. Like the number of times people try to judge me because I'm selfish. I'll say no all the time. Because, if you're a business owner, time is the most precious thing you have. Right? So, number 2 is look for win-win scenarios. Always look for win-win scenarios. This is something you can never go wrong with. And understand that doubling down on yourself is probably the best thing you can do. If you double down on yourself, you become the best version of yourself. You become the best suited to serve humanity. The best thing you can do is save your energy. Nurture your energy. Cultivate your energy. If you try to do that while leaving your cup empty, no one's going to take care of you. If you try to give to someone else by leaving yours empty, it's not going to work. Right? If I try to come at it and I, sacrifice my sleep just because I want to help more clients and everything, it's not going to work. Number 3, learn to say no. Learn to say no, learn to set your own boundaries. The most powerful thing, the most empowering thing you can do is say no. If you're uncomfortable saying no, start saying no now. Just begin saying no now. It's going to be uncomfortable at first. If saying yes is going to harm you, let's say, your friend asks you to do something, but you're working on something important, you have a project, learn to say no. Because, again, if you don't double down on yourself, you're never going to show yourself you're worthy of what you want. Really think about that version of yourself you would like to be, what you would like to create for this world. And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. Just to recap, what we talked about was people-pleasing. We talked about why it's really harmful to function on morality, because it goes against what you want to do, but rather puts you into that mind's conception of how things should be, and society's conception of how things should be. This is why people stay stuck in people-pleasing mentality. And to give you an example of that, me and my 9 to 5, if I decided to go that route, I would have been miserable. I know 5 years down the line, I would have been miserable. I would have hated my parents. I'm sure they wouldn't have wanted that either. So I had to make the difficult decision of quitting it and doing what I wanted to do, even though they didn't like it at the moment. Understand that both selflessness and selfishness are just dualistic illusions. There is no selfless and selfish. There is just selfish. When you help other people, you're being selfish. When I help my clients, I want them to get results. I'm the most selfish person. I want my clients to be the best. I want people who watch my channel to get the best results in the world. Right? I want the best for humanity. I'm selfish. I'm selfish about humanity. Right? So there is no selflessness and selfishness. It's just a dualistic illusion. And understand the mirror world. If you want to get anything, you got to first work on giving it. Now, I'm not just saying, if I want to charge $5,000 for my program, I got to pay $5,000 first. Well, maybe, but you can't possibly expect to charge a high price for your program if you don't think you're worth it first, if you haven't invested that much in yourself, right? It will give you more certainty if you've actually invested that much in yourself, in your development, charging someone for that. Because now you know you're worth it. Understand that you get what you tolerate. Like, the most empowering thing you can do is say no. If you tolerate shitty behavior, you're going to get more and more of it. People in relationships, you'll see that your partner will start to test you on your boundaries. They'll see what they can get away with. And this happens unconsciously. No one means to do that intentionally. If you accept shitty behavior, you're going to get more and more of it. And it's going to keep you stuck there. Most of us just don't want to leave relationships because it gets so comfortable. And we get uncomfortable with the unknown. But when they do leave relationships, these people who've been stuck in that toxic one, the people-pleasing one, they see that they start to double down on themselves. They make decisions that serve them for once in their lives. And it becomes a win-win. Because if you work on filling up your cup and you let it overflow, it's going to eventually fill up the cups of others. The best thing you can do is double down on yourself and be the best version of yourself you can be. Now, here are the 3 keys. Number 1, you got to understand morality is a band-aid. Stop judging yourself. Do what you want to do and don't judge yourself. If you make a decision and you're okay with the repercussions of it, do it. Don't work on pleasing other people. Work on doing what you truly desire to do, what your heart wants to do. And work on becoming conscious, because consciousness will eventually override morality. Consciousness will say, I don't want to kill my neighbor because I love my neighbor. If you get to becoming more loving, killing your neighbor wouldn't make any more sense. Look for win-win scenarios. Doubling down on yourself is undoubtedly the best thing you can do. In anything in life you're doing, you're about to make a decision. See if it can be a win-win. Can it be a win for someone else? Yes. Can it be a win for you? Yes. Do it. Number 3, learn to say no. Saying no is the most empowering thing you can do. Saying no and setting boundaries. And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Hit the little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And also, I'm super excited to announce, as I mentioned before, the free one-to-one consult with me for the Reality Mastery Program is now open. To sign up for that, make sure you click on the link in the description below. Typically, who we work with is people who are in their professional lives. They're stuck. They want to take it to the next level, but they found that they've been a certain way their whole lives, and now it's plateauing them. Now they've got to be something different. People who are stepping into leadership positions. People who want to transition out, start up their own businesses. Who they've been have been the problem, and now they can't step out of it because it's become so rigid. What we really help you do is shift at that identity level, become a little bit more flexible in it, so you can consciously embody who you need to be in order to experience what your heart desires. People who are already entrepreneurs, who are stuck at a certain revenue level in their businesses. They've tried all the tools and the tactics and strategies, it hasn't worked. Now you have this internal ceiling that's keeping you stuck here, and you just don't know what to do about it. And this is for you. Really helping you unlock that internal ceiling, taking it up so you can move up in your revenue as well. People who are high performers, creatives, if you're that, people who are musicians, people who are filmmakers, if you're wanting to take your career to the next level, this is for you as well. Make sure you click on the link in the description below. Hope I see you there. And also the link for the Facebook group is in the description. Click that to join. It's completely free. Hope I see you there too. Till next time. Peace.